Hey everyone, good morning and a very happy Wednesday. It's 11 a.m. Central Time here and 12 p.m. Eastern. And it's also 5 p.m. in Portugal for those in Portugal watching us today. So, today I have a very special guest that's going to be talking about all things traveling to Portugal. As you know, as the experts, we decided to start the year in talking about all things Portugal. We have discussed, what do I do when you purchase a home that needs renovation? We have interviewed experts that can talk to you about that. We have interviewed the professional coach behind the real estate agents I connected with in Portugal. And today we're going to talk about traveling to Portugal, what you need to do to know, what you need to be aware of. And next week, I'm going to have my very good friend, Achilles, that is one of the top producer agents in Lisbon with Coldwell Banker. And she's going to talk about what do you really need to do to prepare to move to Portugal. Without further ado, I have my very good friend here. I'm going to introduce you to him, Marco Fernandes. He is the owner and creator of Sagres Vacation. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to be my guest today. So, for those that have never heard you speak as my guest, let's talk a little about what do you do and what is your company all about?
Sure. And again, thank you for the opportunity. Sagres Vacations was born out of this idea that everyone deserves their own curated trip experience, right? So, in sort of a 10-second elevator pitch, our company is an experience-based travel company who just happens to have those amazing experiences in the beautiful countries of Portugal and Spain. And today, obviously, we're focusing in Portugal. But that's what we do. We curate experiences that are as individual and as personalized as each one of our customers. So everything from wine tastings to cooking experiences with Michelin star chefs to snorkeling, scuba diving, Jewish heritage, destination weddings. We runs the gamut. So it's basically we always start with a blank slate, and at the end of it, we create this amazing experience for each one of the clients, which they love and rave about because it's really their own personality that shines across the itinerary.
Absolutely. I love it. I think that your business model is so fresh and it's so important and relevant, especially right now. You never stopped working even during COVID because exactly what you are doing. It's personalized, it's curated. So you don't have to be in a big group to
Mhm.
have your own, like organized travel trip to Portugal. And then for those of you wondering, why is Claudia interviewing travel agency talking about Portugal? Well, for those of you that just joined, that never heard us talk before, we do have a group called Move Us to Portugal. And at Move Us to Portugal, we try to assist everyone with all things Portugal. And so many of our clients heard about Portugal, never visited. So we decided to partner with Marco and help you visit Portugal and also visit real estate while you're there. So, taking that aside, what's new? What do people really need to know when traveling to Portugal right now?
Yeah, well, the first thing they need to know is always be part of the group, Move Us to Portugal. That's the first thing because all the resources are there and get in contact with Claudia, myself. But it's really amazing. I think you hit the nail on the head as far as having these personalized experiences. Our company's been in existence for nearly 10 years, and I will say that the last 2 years, although with everything going on in the world, we've seen an increase in demand for our products, those specialized experiences. So, a lot of the updates, a lot of the things that people should know about Portugal is really what to do, how to experience it, sort of how to prepare, how to design your own experience. But, before we do that, let's talk about some of the general country updates as that we've seen in the last week. So obviously, with COVID still being a restriction around us for some people more than others, the great news is that Portugal is on track. Right now, they're on track by the end of March to lift nearly, if not all, of the COVID restrictions. So let me tell you what's happening now. So last week, the country sent out a memorandum that was signed by the General Assembly, basically removing the restriction, which this was a big one. This was the restriction that had in place where you had to show your CDC card, your vaccination card, at check-in for hotels and restaurants to dine indoor. Some of the same things we're seeing here on the East Coast, right? New York, Boston, and other cities. So as of last week, that is no longer the case. So that's great news. Two things: obviously, people feel a little bit easier; they don't have to worry about showing a vaccination card. But also, what that means, it means that the numbers are low enough that the government feels that there is no longer a requirement to do that. And they're on track right now that, again, by the end of March, that most of those other restrictions will be in place. So traveling to Portugal, Claudia, right now, you still need a COVID PCR test to travel. And again, check with your airline, because some airlines have different requirements, but you do still need a COVID test requirement. And then on the return flight, you do need an antigen test to come back to the US. But going with our line of personalized services and products, we actually include the antigen test for those clients that book with us on their return flight. So it's all taken care of on our side.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we're very proud of that. We partner with a nurse and doctor organization in Portugal to allow, actually, and again, it's very easy. The clients sit back like they should on vacation, hopefully drinking a good glass of red wine. And the doctor and the nurse will come to the hotel, do the antigen test. In 15, 20 minutes, you will get the result on your phone and on your email. And then you'll be able to travel back to the United States with that antigen test. So it's very seamless, very easy. You don't have to go hunting down for a pharmacy, find out, schedule an appointment. It's all scheduled. It's all predetermined, all arranged just for you.
Beautiful. I love that. I know my family is excited about lifting some of the COVID restrictions because my whole family is involved in the tourism hospitality. So they are very excited
Yep.
uh, that is happening a little bit, coming back slowly to what we know as normal or the new normal. So, when people think about Portugal, they think about what they hear the most, and those are the big cities, and they would be Lisbon, Porto, or even Algarve.
Sure.
That is, very well known, right? Very
Yep.
touristic. So tell me, what else do we offer outside of that, and what are the differences?
Yeah, no, right on. Lisbon is become such a hot destination. Some of the airlines have made a big marketing campaign with Lisbon as a stopover. So a lot of people going to other countries are using Lisbon as that 4 or 5 day stop. There's so much more to explore beyond Lisbon, Porto. I'm biased. I have an office in Porto. I love the city, but even within those two cities and the Algarve, I grew up in a small village, about 20 people, one road in and out. We all knew which cars were driving in, where the neighbors were. The keys were always left open. So I have that upbringing of sort of going back to the roots, right? And I always like to suggest off the beaten path and maybe some other areas of the country that are not as popular, because two things, you're going to see really the authenticity of the country in most cases. It's not as commercialized. This is what the locals love. This is where you go to the local padaria, the bakery, get those popsicks, really toasty, and you go to enjoy a beer or coffee at night. And there's so much areas, I'm thinking right outside of Lisbon, and areas you're intimately familiar with: Setúbal, Azeitão, Sesimbra. Even
Beautiful area.
they are,
Beautiful area.
and
Not everyone knows about.
no, and it's literally within an hour drive south of Lisbon, right? So very easy to get to. Very beautiful areas, unspoiled, raw, beautiful nature. You have great food, wines. I'm thinking as Azeitão specifically, you have the cheese there that's to die for. You have some really traditional pastries that are just from that area. And actually, in that area, we offer one of our more popular experiences at the tile workshop. So where you actually get to create those blue magical tiles you see everywhere in Portugal, in churches and monuments. My grandma's house is full of tile on the inside and the outside. That's her AC and heating system. And but it's everywhere, and you actually get to create those tiles for yourself. And the Azeitão area is one of my favorite areas. And then just even the Alentejo, an area that is sometimes forgotten because people drive right through to get to the Algarve, but there's so much to explore. Montserrat, right? Beautiful castle, right on the Spanish border. Um, um, you have dark sky country there where you can look out. You have experiences where you look out through
Yes.
telescopes into the dark sky. Really, Évora is an amazing city too, a UNESCO World Heritage City.
My
So
favorite. My favorite.
yeah, so much, and the food in Évora is like anything else in Portugal is really, really good. And again, I'm preferential. Obviously, I grew up in Aveiro, so the Venice of Portugal. So I got to give some love to my city. And it is again a city where people will drive up and down the coast, and they'll see a sign, and they'll say Aveiro, and it may not mean to them, but it's one of those cities that will surprise you because it's a beautiful Art Nouveau. 4 or 5 canals in the city where you can take a ride in. It's on the beach, so you have fish restaurants, you have beautiful beach boardwalks. You're only an hour south of Porto. There's so much to explore, and then you have Serra da Estrela, the interior, where the small little villages. Again, amazing food and just very local. One of the things, Claudia, I love about going to these places is that you really feel like you're connecting. And I think this talks about, to people who want to move to Portugal, right? You want to connect with
Yes.
the locals. You
Yes.
want to interact with them. You don't want to just be, looking at tour buses coming in and out and people speaking English or other foreign languages. You want to go to the farmers market where they're haggling over the meats and the fish and everything else. And that's what I love about the interior is because it is very local, it's very authentic, it's a farm country, it's farmers. You have the Douro Valley as well, that is not just a destination for wine, but it's a place where thousands of people make their daily living by producing
Yeah.
wine, and they're family owned. So there's so much to see.
Absolutely. You just touched on a few points that I absolutely love. As you know, I'm an avid traveler. We have been all over the world. And we have been in also, organized trips, big group trips, like 200 people group trips.
Mm.
And we're always, my husband and I, we're always the antisocial people, meaning we go on our own when we have the free time, because I really want to get a sense of the flavor for where we are. And there's
Yeah,
no better place to be than lost amongst the people, the locals. Like we have
absolutely.
been lost in Vietnam. People thought we were crazy. No one spoke English. But you know what? We did just fine. It was an
Yeah.
amazing experience. I don't know if I would do it again, but it was an amazing experience. It was scary for a second there, not being able to communicate with anyone. But you are so right. So, you guys, if you just join us, Marco Fernandes with Sagres Vacation here today. We have in previous episodes talked about Golden Visa, for example. So, Golden Visa has now some restrictions. A lot of the people that were interested in these programs were buying in the big metropolis. So, we're talking Porto, we're talking Lisbon, and with the new changes, we open new horizons to be able to really allow Americans, particularly, to get to know Portugal in depth. So we are now able to, hey, Lisbon and Porto are amazing. They are beautiful. They are safe. A lot of architecture. There's a lot to do, but the real beauty is on the outside of the big metropolis. It's in the heart of the country. Go out and explore and see it. So Marco is here to assist you, because a lot of us are like, okay, I can do well in Porto and Lisbon, even if I'm not from there. They have the red bus. People speak English, but what about the countryside? Where do I go? What do I see? So that's why we have Marco here, that can curate an itinerary depending on what you are looking for, and we can coordinate to have a real estate agent to meet you there, because a lot of the people that are investing, they are realizing that the distances driving from the big cities is so small that your money probably goes a long way. You can invest outside of the city, go also use your property on your own time, have it rented, Airbnb, VRBO, whatever. We do have now officially managing companies we're partnering with. I'm so excited to share that in the future with you guys, to help you understand, if I want to buy an Airbnb in Portugal, how does that really work? So you can then start exploring the real heart of the country. Like Marco explained here, there is so much more outside of Porto, Lisbon, and Algarve, for sure. So, Marco, let me ask you this. Americans are always concerned about a few things: medical care, what we have covered in previous episodes, and they are also concerned about safety. How is
Mhm.
Portugal in safety from your perspective?
Extremely safe. Portugal ranks the fourth safest country in the world. To put in perspective, the United States, I think, in the same table, in the same source, it ranks in the 60s, so 64, 65th. And I think the countries above the table are Iceland, Norway, New Zealand. I think
Very
those
remote.
very remote, places that is you would expect that. I don't know if people would expect Portugal to be as safe it is, but when you land in Portugal, from the moment you land to the moment you leave, obviously there are always certain situations you should avoid anywhere in the world, including Vietnam. You need to understand where places to go and places not to go, and this is across any big city, any region. But it's I have small children, and I am an advocate in traveling with my children, getting them exposed to not just Portugal because they are obviously Portuguese, but to other countries. And I always sort of measure the safety and how am I comfortable walking around with my children late at night having dinner. And I will say, when you land in Portugal, the first thing you will see in the evening is parents coming, eating at a restaurant 9 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock, with small children, 2 year olds all the way up to 10, 12, 14 years old. Children are out playing in the playgrounds everywhere, which you do not see as much here in the States, unfortunately, and I wish we did. So safety, which I know is on top of everybody's mind, is certainly something that, in Portugal, we're very blessed to have a very safe country. I will go back, Claudia, to something you just mentioned. You mentioned earlier too. You talked about some of those experiences and the differences being in the interior. Places like Serra da Estrela, like Tomar, like Évora, and things like that nature. I couldn't tell you how many times we have gotten notes from our customers, and where they have a free day and they were out exploring the city, and they will ask someone who may not speak as good English about a certain restaurant, and that person, he or she, will actually either walk with them 3 blocks over to the
Yes.
restaurant, knock on the door, and make sure that they are taken care of. Or in some cases, I've had actually clients being driven to by the receptionist at the hotel to the restaurant because they want to make
Yeah.
sure they get there and they get taken care of. That is the Portuguese hospitality. And you will
Yeah.
find more and more of that in the interior because we love to receive guests. We love to show them the best of Portugal, be it the food, the wine. And that obviously goes with the safety, right? Where else? In most cases, you're like, I'm not getting in the car. But in this case, it's all about understanding, people want to show and they want to make sure you're taken care of. They understand you're a guest in their country, in their town. And so I think that speaks volumes to how comfortable you should feel investing, living, and visiting Portugal.
Absolutely. You're so true. It's so true what you just said. I think that's one of the reasons why my husband, that is not Portuguese, loves Portugal so much, is that we have traveled all over the world and he has always felt at home there. He feels like he's one of the people. They spoil him more than me, even my family. I'm like, hey guys, I'm the family member. No, 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 no. My husband is the one that matters. They are so happy to share every little thing: how we make ginginha, how we make
Yeah,
bread, how we cook this dish, how we cook that dish. It's really a welcoming country, and I cannot wait to take more family members there now that we can go back
sure.
traveling, with some things that are different than before, but much better than it was months ago or last year.
Okay,
So
much better.
we're definitely on the right path there. Um, and also I wanted to address something. I keep forgetting about this. So there is a lot of restrictions for traveling when someone has any sort of handicap.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to just really leave it out here that curated trips are the way to go if you have a family member or two that really don't fit in your usual itineraries that is go go go, or they need some special needs. With Marco we can pay attention to if you need to be on a wheelchair, which rest in one thing I wanted to address is that you don't use your usual I don't want to say any names, but like travel agencies just go and book the hotels like everybody else. You actually have, tell me about the accommodations, you actually go local with that.
We do. So we're very detailed in every itinerary that we do. And again, our hope and our goal objective is to make sure that the clients have a very personalized experience. So to your point, if they need mobility assistance, if they need a specific type of meals, vegetarian, gluten-free, it is all taken care of. In some cases, we go to the details of actually printing a menu at the restaurant with the name of the client. So they feel like, wow, this is just for me. And they have a special table with beautiful views. And again, it's all about the experience. Our slogan is don't just travel, experience it. So everything we do is really based on that premise. Um, Going to your question specifically on hotels, we feel the hotel, which for many, many years was a part of the experience, right? It was, and sometimes could be just sort of the place where you could sleep and have some rest. We actually take it a next step. We want the hotel to be a very immersive experience when possible. So what does that mean? That means if you're in the Douro Valley, you can have the opportunity to stay at a family-owned vineyard that is very boutique, that is small in nature, but big on the services it provides. And again, talking about the people who receive you at the reception are the same people who are cooking you breakfast, lunch. They are showing around their beautiful vineyard because they own it. It's been in their family generation for 5 and 6 generations. So to us, we always try to support the local families. We support the local, mom and pop that are trying to bring additional business to their livelihood, and because they also have a passion like us to show what is theirs and to welcome visitors. It's a little bit different when you will go into a Marriott or a Sheraton, because you sometimes feel like you're just one of many, many guests. When you go to these boutique vineyards or smaller boutique hotels that are family owned or family managed, they are, like your point, feel they are welcoming you to their home. It's a second home for you, but it's a home for them, and they want to make sure that you are treated like a VIP guest, as you should. So, immersive experiences, the hotels are really part of it, and we're very conscious in choosing the right property depending on the guests. So some guests like a food and wine experience. So there are hotels that are really catered to that, where they actually are owned by a chef, where you can actually one of the examples is there's a hotel in near Fatima, near Leiria, actually, where the chef will go to the market in Nazaré, the farmers market, with the clients, buy the fruits, the vegetable, the fish, the meats, come back to the restaurant and the hotel, meaning and the restaurant at the hotel, and we'll cook up a menu with the guests. So that is a really immersive experience, right? You just don't show up and the food is there for you. You actually will cook up your own menu with ingredients you purchased a few hours earlier at the market.
And not to mention, the food in Portugal is Mediterranean. We are talking about locally produced, caught, uh, looked after locally, everything locally resourced. The amount of imported materials that we use on a daily basis is very small. Everything pretty much, when we talk about vegetables, meat, fish, is all pretty much local. The fish is fresh, and you can actually go in many cases like Setúbal to the
Yeah,
Lota. So that's the
a lot.
fish
Yeah, that's
market.
right.
You can actually, I know Mark can probably organize that for you, to go, and you can choose your fish. And
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be overwhelmed. You're going to see more diversity of fish that people eat in Portugal that you ever
Yeah.
imagine in your life.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's not like going to Whole Foods and that's our idea of fresh fish. No, it's not frozen and then defrosted and fresh for you. It's caught alive and
Yeah.
still probably sometimes still breathing when you go to
Yeah,
the
in
fish
some
market.
cases. Yeah, and I know I'm not that old, but I'm still old enough to remember the process when they were bringing in the fish from the beaches in Aveiro with the cows, right, and the bulls bringing the nets out from the fish that the fishermen had put, and that is an amazing experience to see that, but also to be able to go to the Stubble fish market, the lot that, and even we have an experience in Porto as well, very similar, where you can go out with a fisherman, and actually when they come back with the catch of the day, you will be able to grill the fish right on the market as your lunch. So talk about
I love
fresh fish. That is as fresh as you get.
That's it. I'm going to book my trip right now. I just need to go. I can't wait anymore. I got to go to Portugal. Just miss it. I love peixe-espada. I don't need
Oh
swordfish.
yeah. Yep.
And I cannot find it anywhere in the world
No,
like
you
in
can't.
Portugal. I don't,
No.
it just, my aunt has a restaurant and it's a seafood and it's very close to Stubble. So she always knows Claudia eats swordfish every time she's
Yeah.
here, grilled with salad, and I'm in paradise.
Oh, it's
It's
so
just
good.
like,
A little
oh,
bit of olive oil on top, and you're ready to
oh,
go. Yeah.
garlic and
Yeah.
cilantro and olive
Ah,
oil. Oh my gosh, stop it! I really, really want to go.
I know.
It's amazing. You guys, if you have heard about Portugal, and I know if you're following me, you've heard about it a lot in the last few months because we've been doing Ask the Experts based in Portugal on this first series, and you would like to visit, Marco is the right person to connect with. Either you're looking to go by yourself, with someone else, or with a group of people, everything can be arranged. Get the full flavor and experience of what Portugal has to offer. Get all the colors, not just the main cities, the touristical events. Go out there into the countryside and get a feel for it. Because if you ever plan to live in Portugal, that's what you really need to do, right?
Yeah.
To see, can I see myself living here? Is this where I want to live? And I can tell you right now, and I've interviewed other people that are Americans that have moved to Portugal, that probably 90% of them end up moving out of the big cities. They want to be in the heart of the culture.
Right.
So before we go, I wanted to ask you if you want to share anything with the public. Is there any special event, any special itinerary coming up that people should know about?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity, Claudia. It's always great to be able to share our passion for what we do, and again, creating these experiences. We live by these experiences. Every time we get a client coming back and they're raving about it, like it feels like we're on tour with them, of course. So we're very passionate about that. But every itinerary you do is a special experience. We're currently working on itineraries that cater more to active type of travelers, people who are doing canyoning and kayaking, biking throughout the country. We've seen a resurgence, I think, of families that are, because they've been home and separated in some cases for a year and a half, they're looking to travel to Portugal and reconnect there because it's one safe country, right? They're also possibly looking at a place that they may see themselves living. So we're seeing a lot of these family sort of centric itineraries where it's a mixture of activities, but also allowing them time to have a barbecue, having some time on the beach, having some time to be able to explore the city on their own. So, I would say those are really the special events that's going on, is really understanding the market, listening to who your client is, and then creating those experiences around it. That's, if we do our job right, we'll be successful because, instead of just putting a tour out there and hoping people like it, we're trying to listen to what people want and then creating that around the itinerary.
This is fantastic. I believe that your company is not only fantastic experience for someone that is starting to travel, that is not very travel savvy, but as well for the savvy traveler that has traveled like we have. And now that we have traveled so much, it's like we want to not just see the touristical bits, we want to really take it all in, have an immersive
Yeah.
experience, as you mentioned. When we were in Czech Republic, of course, we went to Prague. And all we can think about is, I would like to go outside. I would like to see the castles. I would like to go here. So
Yeah.
now that we're thinking to go back to a few places, we do not want to go back to the big cities where we land. We actually want
Of
to go
course.
outside.
Yeah,
So it's
and you mentioned a few minutes ago about the fresh fish, right? The other thing that's fresh too, and it made me think about when you talk about the authentic interior, is the festas, right? The feasts. So it's amazing. It's a small country, and we feel like, especially in this, I think, for what, from April until September, every weekend there's a feast, a local feast going on, and this is where the locals will get together, and they are having parties outside. There's music, there's alcohol, there's food, and you don't find that a lot of times in the big cities. You find that in the smaller towns, and people rave about that because sometimes it's impromptu. It's this weekend because it's a local saint feast, or this local village has its annual feast during that weekend. And when we have clients that are just driving in and they're like, wow, I want to stop here and enjoy it, and by the time they know it, they drank 6 bottles of wine, and they're now dancing the renshu, at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's traveling, right? That's part of connecting.
Yes.
Not seeing something from inside a bus that you're not going to remember in 10 minutes.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I want to travel, not just sitting in a bus for hours, flying so far, and then really just, it's like you are just window shopping, really. You want to really get inside the shop and buy whatever you want. That's what we
Yeah,
want, the curated immersive
at your own
experience.
pace and at your own time, and that's I think the most
Yes.
important thing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for your time, Marco. I cannot wait to send
Thank you,
some more
Claudia.
people your way. I'm actually thinking about already a couple of people as we're doing our interview. I'm going to send the link and be like, hey, reach out to Marco, because I know they will have an amazing experience in Portugal. So thank you for your time. And if you ever need anything, I'm here to assist you.
Likewise. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. I'll be back next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central Time, with my very good friend, Achilles Simo in Portugal. Bye, Marco. Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.